Hi, Nathan.
Hello there.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good.
Cool shirt.
Oh, you can read that?
I can.
It's an old one. I always liked it. I got it from Cabela's.
Very cool. Excuse me.
So you met my boss.
Yeah, and I thought I was energetic and fast talking and spirited, but he's probably good competition for me in that simple regard, don't you think?
Oh, if not more so.
I think you might be right.
You should hear him when he doesn't get his way with a city official.
Wow.
He almost always gets his way because of the way he, I don't know, just the way he acts. He's pretty good at getting what he wants.
Sure, I can imagine.
You'd be amazed what he can get through the city in terms of just blatant disregard for zoning requirements, especially downtown Detroit, because they just want to build.
Right,
So they're willing to pretty much let you do whatever you want if you take the time that it takes to go through the process.
right,
So
right. So yeah, it was a pleasure meeting him. And when I got there and checked in, I asked the lady who was organizing the event, Peg Pierce, Margaret Pierce,
mhm.
and I said, "Are there any other architects here today?" And she says, "Oh, JNS or whatever the
JSN.
JSN." And I said, "Oh, I don't think I know that firm." I said, "Wait a minute." Uh, no, I don't think so. And then I said, are there any architecture students? And there were a couple of sort of names that I just clearly wouldn't. I would have remembered if I'd had these Arabic kids as students, but I didn't remember any of them.
Mhm.
And then I saw Alicia's name and couldn't couldn't like put that into anything that I knew. So I told Margaret, I said, no, I don't know any of them. She goes, well, Alicia's sitting at your table. And I said, oh, great. And so I met her, and then it sort of dawned on me that she worked at your company. So once we sort of cleared all of that up, it was a lot of fun. And then at the end of the meal, I gave her a card, and your boss came running over and said, don't you steal her. I said, oh, dude, there's no way I'm going to poach somebody at a social function here on campus.
Yeah, he's protective of the people that he finds.
Yeah, because
Because
like anyone, we spend a lot of time, you know, building their value by investing time and money into them, and it's hard to see them. It's hard to see them leave, right? So yeah, he won't have that problem with me.
yeah, well, we'll see. So,
Cool.
all right. So ready to get started,
I
I
am.
suppose.
Yeah. And apologies for last week. I kind of completely spaced you and me out.
Oh,
I
I
got I
was.
got into the grade sheets, which took me um, about 5 hours to do those, 4 and 3/4 hours. And by the time I was done, I was all excited, and I said, "Okay, I'm ready for a cup of tea." And then I saw your email letter later that night, and I went, "Oh crap!" I completely blew our
Well,
appointment out of my mind.
well, I wouldn't worry too much about it because I hadn't really finished too much to talk about anyway.
That's cool.
So it was fine.
Thank you.
Um, all right. So let's see here. I think I made it through another chapter of the book, but I told you about that last week.
Right.
So I'm
2 weeks ago.
yeah, I
Well, you
didn't.
told me about that in your email.
Yeah, so I'm not that concerned about it going over it again. It was just a review of the development process, step by step, what you need to do when,
Right.
and all the different. So it was more in depth, but it was fine. Nothing too revolutionary. We'll see how quickly I get through the next few chapters because it starts to get really detailed and in depth more than I think I'm all that interested in getting into, but I'll try to get through it.
Cool.
Um, So then I said I was going to start going through and looking at all the buildings that I did last semester and how they were performing financially and start making revisions to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with the triplex, the triplex, which was the screen share.
Mm-hmm.
Which was this one.
Yep.
So financially, it wasn't performing all that great at what I initially assumed anyway. So, just keeping it at the 125 rent per square foot, I was not creating any sort of positive return at all. So I did a couple things. We increased the rents to 150 to 150 or 175 because of the attached garage.
Right.
But that still was only that brought that number up to 3%, the cash on cash return. So that still wasn't good enough.
Not quite enough.
So at 175, it would have been fine, but it's still, I wasn't quite happy with it. So what I did is I started taking a look at the floor plans here, and I redesigned them a little bit. One of the things that I never liked about these units is that the private space and public space they're not really balanced very well. There's too much bedroom for not enough living, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For all three of these. And then I looked at the elevations, and when I was looking at the elevations, I went back to these studies that Anna and Mateo and me were doing.
Right.
So I was looking back at these and taking into account the sort of three-part facades that you see and the vertical emphasis.
Which had a larger common area, for example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the horizontal emphasis. And so I went back to that a little bit. So all of that ended up coming to this.
Right.
So I redesigned this a little bit. I added a porch, and I shoved the front out to increase the square footage of these units. And then I turned the second floor smaller unit into a 1-bedroom to increase the living space. So this unit right here on the right, on the upper level, didn't change in size at all. I just eliminated a bedroom and increased the kitchen living space. The bedrooms essentially didn't change. I just shoved the front out to give myself more space for the living area and kitchen. And that brought us to increased square footage per units.
And you kept it at 150 because of the garage.
Yep. At 175, it actually performs really, really well. But I kept it at 150 just to try to be conservative.
You're over 4.
I'm over 4% here. At 175, it goes up to 7, which is what you want to see. But I decided to keep it conservative for the moment. So that was the first redesign. And when we came to the elevation here, I tried to take a look at the vertical and horizontal and combine some of those elements together.
Right.
Into something a little bit more contemporary at the same time. So yeah, that's what I did. And I did this in AutoCAD, not SketchUp full 3-dimensional models, because I was thinking about trying to do a full 3-dimensional model, and I guess ultimately what I decided was I just didn't set aside the time for that level of detail this time around. So I'll keep what I'm drawing in AutoCAD for the moment. And if I have time to do some color renderings at the end, maybe I will.
So I guess, this one just sort of sneaks in, and with a slight tweak on the design, it took really kind of an attractive unit because of the garage and made it a little bit more successful. And in different environments, I think, right, this could actually be a really intriguing form type, the triplex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, if you could get $1.75, $1.80, even $2 a square foot on this, this could rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this building is actually relatively similar to we were at work. We were rebuilding a fourplex that was similar to this
Right.
at a suburban development called Hidden Meadows. I can't remember where it is. Maybe out in Walled Lake somewhere. And it was very similar. 4-car garage underneath. Then there was one unit above the 4-car garage at like 1,000. Two to the side at like 1,000. Then one on the back for 1,000. And it was a really weird unit because technically the way it was designed, it didn't qualify as any sort of residential type building. So
Right.
technically we were supposed to be using the full Michigan building code for the design of this, which essentially made reconstruction of the unit impossible.
Right. I can imagine.
The at least exactly the same. The staircases were too steep originally to let us do it. The firewall separations were just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
If we had done under the Michigan building code, we would have actually had to fire sprinkler the building, so we would have needed a fire closet and all that. And ultimately, after we talked with the building official, he decided to let us rebuild it under the residential code.
The R code, right. Did you still have to sprinkler it like with NFPA R or 13R?
No.
Uh-huh.
But we did have to specify very, very specific firewalls between the units.
I see.
Between the garage and the units, we needed a double wall. So that was like
right.
Almost a 2-hour, I think, hour and a half rating.
Right. So if it burns down, it doesn't tear your unit down with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the biggest issue is that the garage, there's a unit directly above the garage.
Right.
So the so the firewall of the fire floor there, that was a 2.5 or 3-hour rating even. We had to put 2 or 3 layers of gypboard, insulate it completely. Very expensive reconstruction, but still cheaper than putting in fire suppression.
Right.
So it was an interesting project.
That gets tricky to do that because that unit above the garage is going to have sanitary and waste lines that have to drop under the joists and right. They have to home run, so you have to be kind of careful about how that makes its way through that floor deck and into the sort of garage realm. Very interesting. Good challenge.
Yeah, we ended up specifying open web wood joists across the garage.
Smart. So you can thread it through there.
And then stuff the insulation in after. So yeah, that was an interesting project. And quite similar to this, I suppose.
I've got all three. Happy about something.
All right, so that's where I'm at there. So I'm gonna next week I'll see if I can't choose another unit and see if I can make some revisions to the next set.
Are they all in the black now? Are all the units, including the triplex, in the black?
What do you mean?
In terms of making you money?
I mean, I'm just doing them one at a time right now.
Right.
So I started with the triplex. The mixed use is going to be the most challenging one, and that one's going to be the most time consuming. So maybe I should focus on that one next.
So we're working up to that.
Yeah, that one's going to be challenging.
Right.
And I might have to completely redo that one from scratch. I'd rather not, but we'll see.
Okay.
That one's going to be the most challenging for sure. I might maybe I'll just avoid it and see how much time I have at the end. Maybe that's better than trying to screw around with it now.
Or have another independent study that just looks at mixed use types.
Well, I don't know if I have time for that, or I need to spend the money on it.
Or that would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because mixed use are certainly their own ball game for sure.
Right.
A lot of building officials don't like them, especially fire officials.
They're tough.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think that is everything.
Cool. So even though we took a gap in our schedule in our sort of journey here this semester, we're still on schedule as I seem to recall. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got time, but I got to keep moving because I got to be done with this portion of the revisions by the third or fourth week in March at the latest. So if I'm not making weekly progress here, then I'm gonna fall behind real quick, which is easy to do with design work. So
Sure.
I gotta keep moving.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm just going to open up my phone to see what my calendar is. I'm in North Carolina, but next week, but not for the whole week. And I think I can meet with you on Saturday, the 4th. Yep.
Okay.
If that works for you. And even having said that, you realize that the break, something called spring break, starts on Monday, but barring a field trip that my studio wants to do, which might be Saturday the 11th, which I don't know about yet, I could meet then.
Where are you going this semester?
I don't know. I just offered it up and I said, you guys figure it out. Just tell me where to go and when to go. And I'm waiting for them to sort of, fill me in on that. I kind of want them to take the lead on this. So I'm not sure. I think one of the options is to go to Columbus and see the campus again, which I did about 2 years ago. I think it was 15. Yeah, 15. We went in March around this time, and we had one of those really, really nice warm days. And actually, it was like a big sort of thaw. And so I enjoyed that. That was actually a lot of fun. And I was born there, but I had never really seen the campus as an architect. And so I really love that. And now I know how I would do that trip if we did it again. And one of the kids is actually from Norwich, Ohio, which is about an hour from Columbus. And her site is in Dublin, Ohio, which is north of the city, north and a little west. So I would want to I would want to see that property too that she's looking at. But I'll let you know more if we're going. I'll let you know. You're welcome to go along. But I don't know what they're thinking of doing.
I might go along. It was a lot of fun last semester.
Yeah,
so
they are a lot of fun. I don't think they're thinking of going to Toronto. They might be going to Cincinnati, but I'm actually not sure.
Okay, well, Toronto. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I'll fill you in if I know more.
Okay.
I rather doubt it'll be Toronto, because that's gonna
cause all sorts of issues, because who knows? We need passports to cross the border now.
Yeah.
I have one because I went to China last year, but
I've got one too, but I've got to get it renewed sometime this year, and I haven't done anything about that yet. So I need to get going on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a mess that they started making us do that now.
Ah, jeez, this whole thing is a mess. Whole border thing, unbelievable. Yeah. So if we go on that trip together, we can talk then, or we can talk that Saturday or Sunday if I don't go. But I'm certainly around next Saturday if you want to get together.
Okay, we can probably assume that for now.
Cool.
By the way, I did go down to the museum.
Yeah, so you went to MoCAD and you went to the con thing on Thursday?
Yes.
Where was the con thing? At Lawrence Tech?
Yeah, it was just at the A200 lecture. It wasn't anything too groundbreaking. I learned it was just a.
Who gave it?
Detroit Historical Society member.
Amy Bragg?
No, it wasn't a guy.
Francis Grunow?
Maybe. I don't remember. It was a few days ago now. He just talked about some of the history of Albert Kahn. Apparently, it was the kickoff lecture for like a month-long exhibition thing that they're going to be doing.
Right.
it was pretty interesting. I didn't realize that Albert Kahn's firm had been as prolific as it was
Yeah,
back then.
it was pretty. Yeah, I think that's the good word for it. That's why when they sputtered economically a year ago and kind of, they weren't paying their staff and they weren't paying their consultants, they weren't paying rent. I mean, they had the oil light on, they had a flat tire. That car was tanking, and that's why everyone was so horrified, because this is a firm that everyone thinks very highly of and is clearly a legacy firm, particularly here in Detroit. But
from what I hear, they're still pretty much the only architect that Ford works with. That's
well,
what they were telling me anyway.
360 eView does and Gensler does, but
Do they?
yeah, that's the firm that Anna works for, right?
360.
Yeah, 360 eView or something like that, or eView 360.
Yeah, she works for a really small firm. Or her firm does something really unusual. I can't remember what it. They do different things.
Yeah, I think they do the dealerships though. I think they do national
car
dealerships, and I think they do. I mean, I also think that Ghafari does. I think Ghafari has the Ford account, so that remark might not be entirely true from the lecture. But yeah, I mean, let's just be clear. Kahn was the bomb, right? Kahn did everything from sort of the innovation of the factory, the idea of conveyor sort of processes within those factory and industrial buildings, and then of course the whole sort of body of early work that was fairly significant in the residential typology, like in Detroit, Boston Edison, West Village, Indian Village, and of course Huntington Woods. Just really, really important stuff.
Yeah, I think they might have been talking about the industrial buildings specifically, because I know Ford's got somebody doing their entire campus.
Yeah,
right?
Smith Group.
Smith
Group JJR is doing that.
But that's not industrial. Those are office.
Those are office spaces, and they're trying to link them all together. I'm not sure quite how they're going to do that. What happened at MoCAD again? You saw the Biennale?
Yeah, the Venice Biennial Architecture thing that they do every 2 years.
Yeah.
There was I don't know if you remember reading about that, but there was the U.S. exhibition.
Right, led by Monica Ponce de Leon and some other Detroit architects.
It specifically focused on Detroit, 4 different sites, and then they brought in 12 different architects to look at these.
So they had the models and the drawings for that?
Yeah, they had the entire exhibition set up until like April.
That's what I thought. So I still have time to pop down there then. That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I was a little bit underwhelmed with it, to be honest. When I went to the Chicago Architecture Biennial, I found that those exhibitions were a little bit more architecturally focused, whereas this felt a little bit more artsy.
Yeah, and more conceptual.
Yeah, and when I see artsy and conceptual, my interest in it goes down a lot.
Yeah, for a lot of people too.
So if the architecture is more art than it is architecture, I mean, I still like going to see it because it's a nice reminder that
exists.
What we do, that what we do can be very artistic. But
right, I appreciate that.
So
was there a charge to get into MoCAD?
No. But there's a donation box there.
Sure.
I didn't.
They have a little cafe there. I think on Sunday they serve brunch. And evidently it's pretty good.
Yeah, it looked like there were people in there eating just to go eat. I didn't drop any money in the donation box, but in their little shop, but in their little shop they had a cube bot.
Oh,
so
cool.
That was my way of donating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've got myself a cube bot on my desk now. The architect's toy.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go look at the taxes a little bit more and turn on the Daytona 500 and call it a weekend.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, we'll see you next week then,
Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.